Hello my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. Well guys, we're going to start with a video that I thought was the moon, but he said it was actually Venus, or where Venus was supposed to be. Many people are saying that Venus is appearing much larger than it should appear. Some are even saying that it's out of orbit. Some are saying that many of the planets are not in their usual orbit, not in their usual place. And so many think this is due to Nibiru, Planet X, Nemesis system, the stellar cores, the extra planetary objects that are in our solar system right now that many people believe are here. And then, of course, there are still others that say, well, we would have seen them a long time ago. But there's so many things we're seeing that are so unusual right now, and we're witnessing the effects electromagnetically of something. And so the other part of this video, as we start to look at it, is what the heck are these things that are just flashing around? Now this is at night, so I took this to be the moon, and then I'm looking at these lights flashing up there, and I was wondering if you think this is a triangle, you know, like a TR-3B-ish type of thing. One of the secret space programs, or the military's triangle type of craft, and it actually is one big thing, but these things act really weird. So whether these are drones, military, ET related, I don't know. Very unusual seeing those lights like that. I don't know what you guys make of them. Granted, it's not the clearest video. But definitely unusual. And then so many people have noticed that the stars and the planets just don't seem to be the same. It's like everything is changing around us. So here he's going out farther. And look how it's turning kind of bluish. This is so weird. Very, very weird. So I wanted to share that with you guys, and we have more. Let's jump into some other things over here. So this is down in Sarasota, and this is a friend of a friend, and they've been getting some unusual things. And look at this cloud formation.
And I'm seeing a rather interesting, those are actually chemtrails in the sky, but sure doesn't look like a chemtrail. Looks, I know I'm going out on a limb here, but it looks like an angel. That is very cool. So I just wanted to get this on film, or on video, and wow, how awesome.
So very interesting shape. That's really unusual shape to see chemtrails take. Very strange, very unusual. And then here, this is out of Omaha, Nebraska. Looks like writing in the sky, those chemtrails.
Michael, you take a look at this.
Look at those chemtrails. And of course the sun, going right in front of it. But, and that almost looks like writing. That looks like an H.
Michael, you take a look at this.
So that was out of Omaha, as is this one. And these are different.
Hey Mike,
Chemtrails
just
going
thought
on.
I'd show you what they're doing out here today. It's a little new. I haven't seen structures like these before. Never mind that blue dot you see, it is a lens anomaly. Oh look, there he is.
And again, that was Omaha, Nebraska, and that is Andrew, our friend there. And then this, just in case you guys, this was sent in by a subscriber as well, in case you guys have never seen it. So April 19th, 1966, you are looking at some of the original patents for the Sun simulator. And I made a video on this in the past. And it's real. And this is, look at this, filed October 31st, Halloween, 1960. 1960. 68 years later, what do you think we could do? This is a patent for the Sun simulator, solar simulator, United States Patent Office. 1960. 68 years of technology later, can you imagine what we could do? So why doubt anything? Here you go again, another patent. Different inventor. Solar simulator. You know, why have doubts? Why have doubts? And we see stuff in the sky. Like, we keep seeing what appears to be a sun that is not the sun. It's something else. It's in a spot close to the sun. I mean, it almost looks like the moon. And we're seeing this, dozens and dozens of videos that I've gotten from you guys on this. And so, I mean, it's a common occurrence, and there it is. And that's not the sun. That's way smaller than the sun. But it's up there and clearly visible. So what is it? And for those that say, well, we would have seen it if Nibiru was there, well, what are we seeing? We're seeing something, clearly. And when we look at the shape of the sun, it's not the shape it used to be. You know, I don't think this is all just distortion from the chemtrailing. Look at this. That does not resemble what we used to see in the sky. Not at all. So we're looking at chemtrailing everywhere. You can't escape it. Anywhere you look, they're just spraying the crap out of us. And this is just some beautiful ice crystal formation that did occur naturally, just to show you the beauty of nature. And again, all over the world we're getting these shots. That doesn't look round. It sure does remind me of what the patent office showed of its sun simulator. You know, these shots come in from all over. And here's again that not the sun-like object up in the sky. And this actually is round. So maybe this really is the sun, as so many of you guys have said. And, you know, the other thing we're seeing is the sun simulator. Share with me what you guys think. we know the chemtrailing gets more intense like all the time. The day I'll be really worried is when they just stop it totally. So this is the 2015 super blood moon eclipse. This was by Peter Vanderhoof, and he's a family member, and he's sent a lot of stuff into us over the years. Beautiful shot. And so you can't make this one out too clear, but more of these X's in circles that are being seen, as you could see. And then that was another shot of that thing that we saw up in the Bay Area. Now, what I want to talk about, besides the obvious thing with all the chemtrailing, what they're chemtrailing, and what we have actually going on all around us with Nibiru, Planet X, all this, there's something up there. So I talked to this gentleman that wants to stay anonymous, and he's been in contact with me for a couple months now, and we were talking about the X's that we are seeing in many locations. And so very interesting conversation, and basically he says it relates to certain things, and the basic story from his perspective and what he has received is that humanity is way off course, and that there is basically a judgment day coming, and what's happening is going to be a reset. And so when you look at what we called the Anunnaki, they're the ones that basically took us off of our path. You could look at it as like, they are the fallen angels, so to speak. And they have altered humankind. And actually we've unfortunately taken on their ways and their traits, which is against that of nature and against that of the way we were designed to be. For we were supposed to be in harmony with the earth and with all the creatures on the earth, and we were actually pure, and in a way, I guess you could say pure, and they kind of corrupted us and made us into what they are, so to speak. And so there's a reset coming, and the reset is to kind of, again, be cataclysmic, as we've seen. And he didn't name it such, but what he was talking about, like with the original creators, it sounded so much like what Corey Good has talked about as the ancient builder race. And perhaps there is something to that, because it's so interesting. Like, just say if you're looking at the Bible, there's really two creations in Genesis. And they're very different, because in the first creation, basically, you have man being told that the fruit of the trees and all is his food, and the herbs are his medicine. And then the second creation story is very different, and that's with blood sacrifice, and all of a sudden, things are completely different. So why the change? Many people have wondered about the two creation stories in Genesis. And then when we start to look at the Sumerian myths, and we look at all the myths from around the world, then we start to get a bigger picture. And there definitely appears to be, influence, at least, on humanity. And we know that. We see the evidence of it. One of the myths that always got to me was the Titans and the gods, the Titans fighting the gods, that whole battle. And so often people just throw all that into, astrotheology. Everything is just basically archetypes, nothing else but archetypes. It's all archetypes. But is it? Because so often it seems like the truth of the matter is that there's more going on than meets the eye, and there's a combination of things going. Like we were talking about creationism versus evolution. And, perhaps one of the great, wool being pulled over our eyes is the fact that we're kind of nudged to take one side or another, but perhaps they're both right. Perhaps there is a natural evolution of things that does happen. But perhaps on this planet, there's been an awful lot of creationism that has happened as well by beings that have interfered with what would be the prime directive in Star Trek, right? Non-interference. Well, we see that there's beings that came down from the heavens in all the mythologies of the entire world. It's a worldwide phenomenon. And then perhaps there's also interdimensional beings as well that have basically influenced mankind as well. And these interdimensional beings, the negative ones we look at as demons, or in the Hindu mythology, asuras. And then, in Judeo-Christian tradition, obviously the bad ones, are the demons, the devils, and the good ones are the angels. And the good ones in the Hindu tradition are the devas. And of course, there's other names for these beings all throughout the world in different traditions. But it was just interesting listening to what his take was on it. So he spoke of three basically asteroids, three celestial bodies that are going to come and impact the Earth. And one's going to land in the ocean, one's going to hit a shoreline, and then one, interestingly enough, is going to hit in the Indian Ocean, and that's the biggest one, which is actually shaped similar to that Oumuamua object. It's a long cylindrical asteroid or body that's very large. And that one is basically what he would equate to more of a kill shot. And that's actually hitting, he says, it's going to hit exactly where they felt the Earth shuddering. If you remember going back a ways where they were saying the whole Earth was shaking from this position off of the African coast in the Indian Ocean. That he says, now that's perhaps the object electromagnetically locking on in some ways to where it's going to hit. And so it was an interesting conversation. And when he talked about the three objects, it brought me back to something, and I still can't remember where I heard it, but it always stuck with me about three objects coming to hit. So his story would match basically the biblical wormwood one, with something coming in and hitting. And then also I'm always haunted by this prophecy of three objects hitting. So when he talked about that, it just struck a chord with me, making me think of that as well. So, please do, as always, guys, share your comments. Let's figure all these things out together. Let's, share and work together on this. Maybe we have different opinions on what's going on, but that's fine. We could always agree to disagree. But let's try to just discover what's happening and prepare as best we could. And the one thing he did share too was that there is some physical preparing to do, but it's in most cases not going to help too much. He said, however, the spiritual preparing can have the bigger effect, because again, it's all about consciousness on the planet. And if we raise our consciousness and if we start to live in harmony, we change our ways and we start to love each other and work together so that peace and brotherhood started to be the rule of the land and unity, then a lot of these things can be diverted, because that's the way we were originally supposed to be. And so he's viewing it as basically it's kind of our own karma coming to us in the form of divine retribution for what's gone wrong in our society. And even though we've been led astray by dark forces in so many ways, forces that appeal to our ego, and we need to go past that and get to the real us, which is not the ego. The ego is just the mask. The ego is just that which develops while we're in this body, because we're much more than just the body, and that's the bottom line. So my friends, as always, thumbs up to support the channel. Please do subscribe, click the bell, get all notifications, and share with as many as possible. I look forward to you guys' comments. Stay safe out there, my friends. God bless and namaste.